Good afternoon from Vermont. It is Friday. Oh my gosh, is it July 18th? It is July 18th. Wow, July 18th. Well, that's a day that I got married about, oh God, how many years ago? 1997? So what 90s, what year are we? 25? So that's 18 years ago? No, that's more than that. 28 years ago? Whoa. 28 years ago today, I got married. Crazy. Don't regret that. Different time in my life, different place in my life. Huh, didn't know that when I started today. Anyway, there we go. Um, oh my goodness, so much stuff going on. I'm a little rusty, but I want to talk. I'm going to do 2 episodes today. I'm going to try to do 2 episodes. There's 2 different things I want to talk about. So, first, I want to talk about the Tongue Club because and my focus is split right now. It's summer break, the kiddo's home. So I'm going to be more on this as we go. Before we get into all that, though, please go subscribe to my YouTube, become a member of my Patreon. That's free. All this information is free. If you want to be a donating member, fantastic. I appreciate you. That's great. That's how I'm going to keep this sustainable for many years to come. But what we're doing right now is building a community, a place where you can come to ask questions, stupid questions, vulnerable questions, all the questions that you have about your health. And it doesn't just have to be physical stuff. It can be emotional stuff. It can be all tied in together, difficult things, hard things, things to deal with our families, our bodies, our emotions, the world. I'm here for it and I'm qualified for it and I'm down. So let's do it. Okay, my fan just kicked on. So if you can hear that, I apologize. There's something in the air that my air purifier does not like. So it's getting rid of it for me. So first of all, with Tongue Club, send me your tongues. You've got my phone number. It's listed on my website, which you can go to, niceneedles.com. And I want you to text me photos of your tongue. We're going to talk about the tongue that I posted side by side about 10 days ago. This is somebody that I'm working with on a private level, right? Like they're scheduling with me weekly and we talk about what's going on. If they were able to speak, they'd probably tell you a lot of what we do is parallels like a type of therapy, which I am also qualified and licensed to do. I don't go beyond what I can do and I will refer out, but we talk about what's going on physically, um, where we are in that process, what the challenges are, what the changes are, what's frustrating, what's working. And then we do things like look at the tongue together and we talk about it to assimilate this information for a greater understanding of our own bodies. And I think for this person in particular, the tongue that I'm going to go over here with you that I posted on July 8th, it's a side by side, very profound difference here. And this is someone I've been working with for about 2.5, 3 months. I think 3 months. And they've been very consistent with their herbs, and you can see the changes. And I'm going to talk about that with you, and I'm going to talk about that for their benefit as well. Because what I want you to do is learn from these tongues how to take a look at your tongue and understand what your tongue is telling you, and understand that it's about more than just this one piece of muscle that's sticking out of your mouth, that is indicative of your entire digestive system, that flesh that you see, that is what it looks like inside your body. There is a very close parallel, I mean, more than a parallel, to what is happening inside your guts and how you are assimilating food and nutrients and how that's impacting your health on a physical, mental, emotional level. So I want you to send me your tongues. If you're so brave, and you don't have to tell me anything about yourself. You can just let me read the tongue and you can take that feedback passively. You can participate anonymously, like we don't have to know it's you, and you can ask questions. But every single tongue that you see is a way for you to reflect on your own. And why does this matter, especially right now? Why am I doing this, especially right now? Because the world's changing. And I don't just mean that in terms of the acute stuff that's happening. I mean, there's a big systemic shift that's been happening for a long time. It's been talked about in a lot of different circles, economically, environmentally, spiritually, you name it. The global community is changing, and it will continue to. Global warming is having an effect on the earth, and these things are having an effect on human life and how we do things, how we operate economically. And so this means we're going to have challenges with keeping ourselves healthy And because we live in such a time of deficit of information, and I know that sounds weird, right? Because we have so much information at our fingertips, but information becomes useless when there is no filter. It just becomes clutter, it becomes noise, and so we block things out. But when it comes to our bodies and our health, if we want to maintain a base level of health, and if we want to be able to spot problems and deal with things and move through the fear, move beyond the fear of, oh, I'm sick or there's something wrong, whether it's me, my child, my partner, my spouse, my mom, my dad, my other family, friends, neighbors, right? I'm trying to offer you tools that will carry you into this new future, that will empower you, that help you to look at things like your tongue. And there's a lot more than you can look at than your tongue, but the tongue is powerful. It's a powerful tool to see inside the body and understand what's going on, to understand your nature. And if you go through my library on Patreon, which I really would encourage you to do, I need to redo a lot of episodes. I'm going to keep everything up. And I'm going to do things at better and better quality as I continue this journey. This has been a few years for me, and I feel like I'm getting a hold of it now. It's also not just your body, but how your body interacts with the environment around you. And it does all the time. The earth is constantly turning. The sun is constantly shifting. Its relationship to us in terms of where it is in the sky, how early it comes up, how late it goes down. We're carbon-based beings, so we are affected by things like the sun and the air and the temperature. So right now we're in summertime. I want to go into that on the second podcast, but let's go ahead and take a look at the tongue now. So hopefully you have a better understanding of why we're doing Tongue Club, what it's about. It's about empowering you. It's about learning your own body. And it's about being a better community member in terms of health for yourself and for the people around you. Okay, so let's look at this tongue on July 8th that I posted side by side. So when you look at the tongue on the left, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at this. If not, that's fine. I see so many differences in this tongue. It is wild to look at the change in this tongue. And this is, I will never get tired of watching people heal through diet and through herbs. Herbs really are whole food therapy. They're just potent, they're concentrated, and they're targeted. They're pharmaceuticals that are natural. Pharmaceuticals are based on this type of medicine completely and totally. They extract things that they think are important. They patent those things because they're able to extract and, make it chemically. But herbalism, not a one thing at a time, not a supplement, vitamin B, all those things. No, I'm talking about holistic formulas where we are addressing the person's body from top to bottom, from outside to in. These things are potent, powerful medicines. And a lot of people don't get that. I certainly didn't get that when I started studying this stuff. But you can see here with the tongue how real it really is. Because what is the tongue? I'm going to go over some basics. The tongue is the start of smooth muscle tissue that goes from the tip of the tongue all the way to the colon, all the way to the poop chute, right? It's one smooth piece of tissue. It works by peristalsis. Peristalsis is like an undulating, smooth movement that, unlike striated muscle, which would be like your bicep, right? There's strands in there of muscle and you lift and it can tear and rip. So it's a more forceful movement. Peristalsis is it should be anyway, a very smooth movement. If you look on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing with my hands. It's like this, like a tube, and it goes all the way from the tongue when we swallow from our esophagus to the anus. So peristalsis is critical, smooth movement. Okay, so that tissue on the tongue is a microsystem. It's a window into what that tissue looks like all the way through your system. Now, does the stomach look different than the small intestine? Absolutely. The anatomy is different. It's doing a different function. Is the large intestine different than the small intestine? Absolutely. It has a different function. The place that we assimilate nutrients, the place that we assimilate our food is the small intestine. When we talk about things like leaky gut, we're talking about the small intestine primarily. It can also be large intestine, it can also be stomach, but primarily in my mind, when I'm working with patients, it's really about small intestine because the small intestine is permeable. It's supposed to be. It's a really long tube. I think they say the average is like 7 miles for the small intestine, and it just goes back and forth, back and forth. Why? Because everything you eat has to go through that tube, and then what we need comes out from what gets processed in our stomach into the small intestine. And then these tiny little hairs are lining the small intestine, and they kind of grab things, and then everything, the nutrients go through the small intestine tissue. So that tissue needs to be really smart. That hair, that tissue has to know what to pull in and what to keep out, what to pull into the bloodstream and what to keep in the intestines to come out the body. And that includes water and minerals and vitamins and soluble fiber and insoluble fiber, right? It's a very wise, highly intelligent intestine, the small intestine. And what the Chinese say about it, and I'm going to come back to the tongue. I know I'm off on a tangent, but I want you to understand this. What the Chinese say about the small intestine is that it separates clear from turbid and turbid, clear from turbid. So what we need from what we don't need, what's good from what's bad. Now that the small intestine is very much correlated with our thinking and our minds, right? Think how we talk about gut health and the mind-gut connection. We're talking about the small intestine. The Chinese people, the Korean people, the Japanese people, they've known this for forever, for thousands of years. They've known this, thousands upon thousands of years. And they talk about this connection with the heart and the small intestine, which happen to be summer organs, fire element. Okay. There's a lot of energy in these. And the discernment of the small intestine is about food and nutrients, but it's also about our thoughts and our feelings. So when we have issues with processing clear from turbid, from separating clear from turbid in our gut, we also tend to have that with our thinking and with our emotions. It tends to be a more metaphorical, emotional also issue, which is a part of how in Chinese medicine we can spot things through emotions and thoughts and experiences. This is why I encourage you to share and ask things that might seem out of the box, right? That might go beyond what you might bring to your Western allopathic MD provider. We can see a little deeper and we can give you perspective that might be an aha kind of thing. Okay. So when we look at this tongue on the left, the first tongue you can see, if you look to the side, there's a really hard seam. Like the tongue is very thick and it's like standing up. So it's very full. There's a lot of fullness there. That fullness, especially based on the color of the tongue, which is very a deeper red, is a heat-based fullness. There's a lot of heat in this tongue. How else do I know, besides the color and the fullness, that there's a lot of heat? The cracking. Our bodies are made of elements that should be working together and joined together. And one of the ways you can see that element of heat working here beyond the color and the fullness, because what does heat do? It really, right? It blows things up. It can also shrink things, but that's a different conversation. We'll get to those tongues. This one also causes cracking, much like in the earth or in the desert when there's not enough water, when there's too much heat, right? It saps that heat. And so you can see the cracking in this tongue is significant. It's throughout the tongue, and it's not just in the middle or in the center. It goes all the way out to the sides. Specifically on this tongue, if I'm looking at it head on, the right side, you see how the cracking is a little different over there. It's almost like raw meat. You know, it's almost marbly. So we have a lot of heat. And if you look all the way in the back of the mouth, you can also see in the throat, like kind of like big bumps. Okay, those bumps are also heat related. Okay, so, and it looks dry. Overall looks dry. Now, when you look to the picture next to it, you see that the tongue has kind of gotten a little more flaccid. Like when you look on the side, it's not like a big thick shelf. On the left side, it's a little softer and not as full looking. So there's less heat. And if you look at the color of the tongue body, it's less deep red. It's more of a pink red. And what else do you notice? You notice that the cracks are a little bit more filled in. They're not quite as defined, right? And we see a little bit more wetness, a little more shininess on the tongue. Just looks a little more moist overall. And as I look into the back of the tongue, I can still see bumps, but the overall shape has really soften. Now, the tongue on the left I see as a more excessive tongue. Okay, it's big, it's tight, it's really deep red. There's a lot of big stuff happening. When I look to the tongue on the right, same tongue, I see a bit more of a deficient tongue. Now I see a cooler tongue, I see a moister tongue, but it's a little saggy, right? So we've gotten all that heat out, or we've gotten a lot of that heat out to the point that it's moistening and all this other stuff. But now we can see that underneath all this excessive heat and dryness, that what's really the root of that is a general deficiency. And this is what the body does. It does the same thing that the earth does when it's out of balance. It compensates, it swings to one side. So what we see initially or experience initially might not be the true underlying condition of the person or of your person. So your tongue is more of a right now tool. What's happening right now? And then with time and experience and getting to know your body and constitution, you can start to see the deeper patterns. And there's a lot more here on this tongue that I see that I'm not going to go into, because it's much more subtle, and I'm not trying to train your eye medically right now in the way mine is trained. I'm trying to train you to look at your own tongue. So is your tongue deep red, dark red, bright red, pale red? Is it only red in a certain spot? You see, hers is very even in both. And this person, I can tell you, has a history of a lot of heat. They've even said, as we've gone down this herbal journey, and this is about a 3-month difference here in this tongue with herbs. We've done, let's see, that 4 different formulas that we've used in different ways. There's 2 formulas right now that we're working with. One that they really like, that helps them feel better day to day, that calms different parts of their body. And then another one that's working on a paired organ, focused on a particular health issue that they've had chronically, and they have seen systemic changes that they've never seen before. I don't want to talk specifics because I don't know that I have permission to do that. But like chronic stuff, it's always been this way. And now suddenly, like, oh my gosh, I've never had this, like in a good way, like my body's healing. So this tongue on the right is a healing tongue. Okay. There's a lot of healing going on here. We still have work to do. We need to tonify. We need to give the body some energy. We need to help heal some of these organs that produce energy in the body. But the heat's gone down, and this person can feel it and see it. So the feedback I've gotten from this person is, number one, they've always had a red face. And they talked about how when they look back at pictures now, and I think they've seen it before, they always had a red face. And that redness is gone. For a while, they felt like they looked pale. I could kind of see that too. But I think there's an evening out happening now, in addition to that, right? Because if we take fire and heat out of the body, what do you think happens to the emotions and to the mind? They cool down, they cool off. So we have a shift in our emotional reality as well, because we're draining heat. So it can be that we're discovering things underneath all of that, like true feelings. And this is hard stuff. People don't understand when they start healing their bodies this way that you're really going to go through a lot, because when you're healing things like your stomach, your large intestine, your small intestine, your heart, your lungs, like these organs hold things for you. They do things for you, and they will do it for you over your whole life until they give out. They are limited resources, just as you are as a whole being. You are limited. You only have so many heartbeats and so many breaths. And so as you heal these organs, not take drugs to stop a process or to, numb a symptom or whatever, but as you heal these organs, as the tissue, as you can see here on the tongue, heals, it is going to change your mental, emotional energy. Oh no, it stopped recording. Oh, that's such a bummer. Okay, well, I'm having computer problem. I need a new computer. I will post this YouTube. I will post this. Luckily I'm recording on TikTok, so I will post this to Patreon. So there you go. So this is what I'm saying. When you see this change in the tongue, what you're actually seeing is not just a healing of that tissue. This is going all the way inside your gut. And when we look at the tongue, the tip of the tongue is the uppermost part of the body and the uppermost organs. The center of the tongue represents that digestive tract going all the way down. And then as we move out from the middle of the tongue to the sides, we do the same thing with the organs. We're coming out. We can see the kidneys. We can see the liver, the pancreas, the spleen, the gallbladder. Okay. So as that tissue heals inside, we're going to see it reflected on the outside because it's all one piece of smooth muscle tissue. So this is an interior healing that's pretty significant. You think about how if your small intestine goes from being deeply hot and dry to being more moist and relaxed and drained of all that heat, how it's going to help your body and your mind to assimilate better, to assimilate those nutrients, which is going to change your whole health profile, right? You're getting more of what you need. Your body is not working so hard on dealing with all this heat and dryness and trying to constantly, counterbalance that to make sure that you can get through the basic functions. Now you're taking some of that stress off. In allopathic Western thinking, we talk a lot about inflammation. This would be that. We're reducing inflammation. We're reducing that workload on your body to stay healthy and balanced. Okay. So send me your tongues, text them to me, email them to me. All that information's on my website, niceneedles.com. Also, I would really like for you to send me questions or stories, a health story maybe, whatever, like go for it. What do they call that lady? Dear Abby, also Dear Sugar. I love Dear Sugar. I'm the health Dear Abby. Okay. And health for me is not just your body. It's not just the pain or injury that you have. It's the effects of that around your life, right? Like this for me is truly functional medicine. When we say functional medicine, what we're talking about in a modern way is blood tests. Being able to really dissect blood tests and levels and hormones and get deep into it. But what I'm talking about is the functional medicine of healing and of living. So as we go through a healing process, whatever path we take to that, there's going to be challenges that come up mentally, emotionally, functionally, right? How do I do this? Why am I struggling with this particular thing? I can help to connect dots. I can help you to see things and stand in a different place that you probably haven't. And I only know this because I've worked with so many freaking people and I've been on TikTok for so freaking long, which exponentially expanded my experience with human beings and health. And so send me your tongue, send me your questions, send me your stories. Let's talk about it. What I really want to do here, maybe once my kiddo goes back to school, is I want to start a regular call-in show where you could have emailed stuff. You can call in. I don't know how we'll do it, but where I can talk to you live as well, and other people can benefit from that. Until then, this works for me. So, okay. So that's Tongue Club. Hopefully I'll get some more tongues. I still have a little backlog of a few that I can use, but I'd like to have a much bigger vault of them. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. Now I did send really quick one other tongue, which was mine, because I said I would be sharing that as sort of a reference point. And my tongue, I'm not really taking any herbs right now. I am going through a healing process that is more gross, like more physical. I'm doing red light therapy. I'm doing the plate. If you don't know about the plate, oh my gosh, the plate has kind of changed my life in the last couple of months in a massive way. I'm doing acupuncture again. And I've had my final step in where I've realized that in the last year, because the last year in particular has been absolutely excruciatingly difficult. And I didn't even realize it because you just go through it. But I have been really broken down in this last year. And one of the things for me that went away this last year was my diet. And my diet for me, my everyday normal diet, was something that took me about 40 years to come to. And that took me about 3 years to perfect. And for the last 7 to 8 years of my life, I have lived this way. And for the first time in my life, I have actually been healing from the inside out. And it shows because I had a baby and I got younger and healthier at 41, which is pretty amazing. But that's the difference that a truly symbiotic diet can do for you, because food is medicine. ultimately. It is absolutely the medicine. That's why I like herbs, because herbs are really whole food medicine. They're just concentrated. So when I look at this tongue that I posted for you here, let's see if I can take a look at it. I don't even know if I can see it. My tongue. So the one on the, can I click into this here? So the first one, in the back of my tongue, you can see a lot of like, almost like light yellow. There's a coating, there is some wetness, but it's also a little bit drier. A lot of bumps. I got a lot of bumps. I have a lot of dampness. I have a damp constitution, which for me right now definitely translates into my lymphatic issues. And then when I look at the other tongue, so that would be the tongue, let's see, in the side by side, the first tongue is the one on the right. And the second one I just took, that's today on the left. I can't get into this photo. There it is. That one is much more moist, right? You can see that the bumps are a little less prolific. The coat's a little bit changed, not quite as thick, especially in the back. Still some coat in the back, still some cracking, but the cracking again here looks a little bit smoother, a little less cracked, a little bit more filled in. I have a scar there from a tongue ring. I don't know if you can notice it. I got a tongue ring when I was 22. Not the smartest thing I ever did, but a good memory. I also have some teeth marks on the side, which is from swelling and also deficiency, both. And that's what that wetness is too. Oh, that's something I didn't talk about on these two tongues. You have to zoom in close on the first one that I just went over with you, not mine, but the other one. There's a wetness here that is good in a way, but what you can see is it's not really assimilating. The wetness isn't assimilating with the muscle so much. When we have a really nice, healthy tongue that's really well balanced, what you see is moisture that is integrated with the tissue. So the tissue itself looks healthy and plump, but it doesn't look shiny, right? So in these cases of my tongue, and even the other one, if you really zoom in close, is that there is this deficiency where the tissue and the moisture are not coming together in evenness. We want the flesh to have absorbed that moisture. So this is a deficiency again of the tongue knot. So I'm very deficient right now in lots of ways, lots of ways. But there's change happening, and change is what we're looking for. Now, one other thing I want to say, and also on my tongue, you see it's a little bit more red in this other one, in the new one on the left. That's a good thing for me because I'm getting some energy back. My tongue's a little complicated, so I don't want to go too deep into it. But again, what are we looking at when we look at the tongue? We're looking at the coat. How thick is it? How dry is it? How wet is it? What's the color? Where on the tongue is the coat? Is it the whole tongue? Is it in the back, the middle, the front? Is it down the center? Is it just on the sides? Is it just on one side? Good things to start to notice and take note of in your own body, because then when you see it shift, which the tongue does quickly, the pulse generally changes pretty slow, especially the deep pulse. The superficial pulse can change quickly, like with things like fever, things that are attacking you from the outside. I can feel that in a pulse. The tongue is always changing, always shifting and changing with the weather, with what we're eating, with our emotions. The tongue is a very quick changing thing, as is our digestive system. It's why it tends to take a hit for a lot of people. So anyway, just notice I'm doing these things for reference. I will keep showing my tongue as is needed. I mean, I'll be happy if I don't have to do that anymore, but hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions, please send them to me. Please subscribe to my YouTube, because just subscribing helps me. If I can get to 1,000 followers, that's another income source for me, which I am unabashedly and unashamedly asking for. So please follow me there and have other people follow me there. I prefer that you follow me on Patreon because it's free and because it's a much easier, simple space. There's no advertisements and it's just, good vibes. So subscribe to both. Thanks for sharing. Please send your questions, send your tongue, check out my website, check out Patreon, go through my library and let me know what you want to hear. I'm here to record stuff for you as well. All right. Have a great day.